Today's episode is our first virtual episode, and we are joined by Mike Matre, Senior Advisor with our new Thomasville, Georgia office. Mike is a forestry consultant and broker who is able to advise his land clients on how to maximize the return and management of their land. We hope you enjoy.
In Our Expert Opinion podcast is brought to you by SVN Saunders Ralston Dantzler Real Estate, a full-service land and commercial brokerage with almost $4 billion in transactions since 1996.
We've said this every podcast we've recorded since then, but Chad, how much are we over?
4.5.
4.5. I almost said 5.5. That was wishful thinking.
Yeah, let's just say 10. Good round numbers.
Yeah.
Almost 10.
I'd like to be a part of that. That second half. No, welcome back to Our Expert Opinion podcast. I am truly co-hosting today, which is rare. I think we've only ever sat in these chairs like one other time before.
Yeah, for the year recap.
Our anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Linda, the co-host, and I have Chad Mills, General Mills.
Here I am.
The other co-host. And then I have two other people in the room physically. And then I have somebody...
Virtually.
Yeah, virtually as well. I have my favorite, Michael Huntley, who hates getting called out, but I love whenever he's in here, so I have to. And we have Eli, who... I don't even know that I know your last name, Eli. Greenberg? Nichols? Nicholson. Eli Greenberg Nicholson.
Good guess, I guess.
Yeah. And then virtually, we have a new agent, a new broker with us. That is Mike Matre. Hopefully I said your last name right.
You did. Very good.
I had high hopes.
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on.
I had high hopes that it was going to be like the character from Cars, Matre. I was hoping that it was going to be Matre, but
I've been called Matre before.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good character, though.
Oh, yeah.
That guy grew up in Sanford, Florida. Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
Local. Anyways, so we're doing things a little different today because Mike actually does not live within driving distance of Lakeland, Florida, which is where we are headquartered at. You live in, is it southeast or southwest Georgia?
Southwest Georgia. Albany, Georgia.
Okay. And how long have you been there?
All my life, except when I went off to college at University of Georgia.
Oh, okay. Very nice. And I think that you have been, a broker or an associate for a couple of decades now, right?
That's right. Well, I've been a consulting forester since '99 and started real estate sales back in, I think, 2005 or 2006.
When you say a forestry consultant, what does that mean?
Well, I help landowners manage their timber and wildlife. Whatever a landowner needs, we can help make it happen. We oversee road building, pond building, timber sales. We do timber appraisals, prescribed burning, reforestation. If the landowner needs it, we do it.
I think I told you on our conversation last night that I was really into the prescribed burns, and I was actually promised that I could go to one, and I don't think that you guys have been able to figure out.
Yeah, we haven't been able to schedule a trip for it yet, but we're out of seasons for them now, aren't we?
Yeah, we do. We're about to start doing some site prep burning for tree planting, but our main woods burning season is late winter, early spring.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta go on one, Linda, folks. They're fun.
I would be living my best life.
As long as the fire stays in bounds, they're fun.
Yeah. I also, quickly melt down and panic. So I would definitely have to have like a whole team with me to make sure that I was able to get out, obviously unscathed.
Just an anxiety team.
Yeah. I would have to have an emotional support team just to make sure I'm okay. a little side note, Michael looks extremely concerned. But okay, he's saying everything's fine, so we'll continue. So, no, very good to know. And you still do that, correct? You still do the forestry
Consulting, yep.
Yeah.
Consultationist.
Oh my gosh.
So we have some other people in the business that do that as well, that are in Florida, and you have to have a license per state that you work in. Is that correct?
No, I have a license in Georgia and Alabama. It's kind of interesting. Florida, I don't think Florida requires a forestry license.
Okay.
That would not surprise me. It's pretty much a free-for-all down here.
Yeah, and I've met some of the like Tony and them with the Natural Resources Conservation Services. That must be who you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I deal a lot with Greg and Tony, and they actually, I believe that they've been talking to you for quite some time.
Oh yeah, great guys, great company.
They told us that they were talking to you, and that, looking to expand, contacts into Georgia, since our brokerage was expanding into Georgia and having more of a footprint there. And so they were excited to, be expanding the relationship.
Actually, that brings me to, I think we haven't recorded since this event happened, but our brokerage was able to close on an office in Thomasville, Georgia.
Yeah, I've seen the building, went and looked at it during due diligence with Bryant. It's beautiful. I'm looking forward to getting that office.
They need to give you a corner office, big windows.
Yeah, talk to Brian about that.
No, it's super exciting because, I think it might have been last year, or maybe it was really early this year, that we expanded into Orlando. Mm-hmm. And so now, having a presence, a true, brick and mortar presence in Georgia, because we have had our agents, Bryant Peace, and a couple of others that have been working in Georgia for, a while. But it's really exciting to get an actual office there and to get, new agents on that are experts in a certain field. And I think what I really want to touch on is that, you have this really cool experience being a consultant, mm-hmm. and, kind of how that benefits your clients, having this like dual range of experience.
Yeah, it's a good match. When a land buyer comes in, whether they are kind of a seasoned landowner or a new landowner, they often need help with management. They may not have the expertise. They may live 3, 4, 5 hours away, and they just need somebody local to help them meet their objective. And that's what we try to accomplish. And it helps us meet a lot of people. So it kind of leads to listing activity and leads to buyers. So it's a natural fit.
Yeah.
Land management and land brokerage.
What are some of the objectives that the landowners are trying to reach? I mean, I'm strictly on the commercial side. I don't know a ton about land brokerage or management. I did grow up on 5 acres, but I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how well we managed it. It was just kind of there.
What were your objectives?
Mine was like, get on the 4-wheeler and go. But, I think that that's not everybody else's objective. And
so recreational.
Yeah.
That's a recreational objective.
Very. So, how does your management help those landowners reach their objectives?
Well, the first thing I like to do is just get to know the objective of the ownership, and that is usually first and foremost hunting and recreation in Southwest Georgia. And then a close second would be the investment part of it, the income, whether it's from annual income like agricultural leases and periodic income like timber sales. But the wildlife management is the big driver, especially deer. we're also, Southwest Georgia is pretty big in quail, but it's all about big deer lately, it seems like. And it goes hand in hand with timber management. So a lot of times timber gets overcrowded, and there's technical things like basal area and trees per acre and canopy closure that gets a little on the technical side, but on just kind of the general side, when a stand of timber closes the canopy and there's not much sunlight getting on the ground, it shades all the vegetation out that wildlife prefer. So a lot of the things we do for landowners is thinning out timber just to put some money in the bank and get some sunlight on the ground, and then we start introducing fire to the stand and to promote early successional habitat. And then every once in a while, a typical landowner may want to clear cut an area and replant it. That accomplishes age class diversification for income streams, but also provides different habitat on a property. So that's one thing that we've learned is deer and turkey, quail, they like habitat diversity. So that's one thing we try to accomplish when we're helping a landowner manage their property.
Already you've said things that I don't really know about. What did you say it was called?
You don't do a ton of hunting?
Only for sport. I don't know. But what is this canopy closure? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just over time, like say it's planted pines or natural timber. As the timber grows, the canopy, the lab crown, the tops of the trees start to close in together, and that just creates shade at high noon. And you need sunlight to filter through the forest to grow the vegetation that deer and other wildlife thrive in, whether it's for browsing or having a escape cover to bed down in. And if you have too much shade, you kind of missing some of the benefits that property could provide for wildlife.
I'd love some shade at high noon around here. It has been really, really bad.
This time of year, that is nice.
You're looking for a good thick canopy then.
We think about those little details when we're like designing a timber sale. Like for instance, if they have a pond or a lake inside a nice stand of timber that we're thinning, we'll on purpose kind of not take any of the trees out around the lake, or very few of them, to keep that shade there for the comfort of fishing in the summertime.
Yeah, you won't catch me out here fishing, period, but especially not during the summertime, especially if there's no canopy closure around a body of water. No, but that's super, I guess, hopefully seasoned landowners would know, or, seasoned buyers would know all of the terminology that you're talking about. But have you been seeing that, like first-time landowners have been buying a lot more in Georgia? Or because I know in Florida that is the case.
Yes, definitely, especially since COVID hit.
Yeah.
There seems to be a whole lot more buyers in the market. I guess people we've always had the investors and the hunters in our market, but now it seems like there's a new group of people that also like to hunt and invest, but they just want a piece of land to get away to and relax, and especially if they're from bigger cities like Atlanta or Orlando. After some of the things that have taken place, they think, well, I might want me some acreage to get out of here sometime.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. And I think that more people are getting into like recreational land use, especially than they were before. Not to, I guess I won't say the word Yankee, but you know, the people from up north that are coming down are wanting, I think, a bit of property, some land. I think it's fun, you know, to have kind of like a cabin and have a lake that you can fish, or have a dove field, or, you know, whatever the case may be.
You're talking about like seasonal residents.
Yeah, seasonal.
That'd be the other word for
residents.
snowbirds.
Yeah, that's it. Those people. Yeah. So you know, but I think it's really interesting. And I don't think, you know, whenever you think of buying just a recreational piece of land, I would not know the first thing. And I would just think, okay, I bought this land and I get to go have a ton of fun on it. And I would now, knowing what I know, stress that they hire someone like you to be their broker and then to manage the land, because it seems like there can be a lot of things that go wrong that would decrease the value, you know, of that land should they ever want to sell.
Yeah, exactly. An old saying comes to mind: a healthy forest is no accident. And that can apply to not just forests, but farmland, hunting preserves. If you do a little management, and it doesn't have to be real intense, you don't have to break the bank on your management expenses, but just little things like prescribed burning, which really doesn't cost much, and a little mowing just for your roads. You don't have to get carried away on mowing, but prescribed burning, for instance, I can't remember the exact ratio, but a wildlife biologist out of UGA estimated that I think 3 acres of fire-maintained woods is equivalent to a 1 acre food plot.
Jeez.
So if you had a 100-acre stand that you burned every other year, that could be almost the equivalent of a 30-acre food plot. And think how much a 30-acre food plot costs to plant.
Well, first I'm thinking, what is a food plot? That would be my first thing that I'm thinking of. And then I would think,
to get her in the woods more often.
Sounds like it.
A food plot is basically a managed open area, kind of like a small field where you plant crops that deer would like to eat, or
you know, that's why I don't like corn, is because that's what deer like to eat. I do not eat corn. I'm like, that's deer food. That's the only food I know that they eat.
Yeah, and that's one reason why Southwest Georgia has such big deer, besides genetics, is we have a lot of peanuts and corn grown. So some properties with a good mix of agriculture can be a great hunting property, because your farmers out there paying you to farm there. Mm-hmm. And usually on a rotation, where most years you might have some peanuts or corn on your property, and
so
you have a great food plot.
So explain that again. So it was how many acres of prescribed burn equaled?
It's 1 to 3.
Yes, if I remember. It's been a little while since I sat in that class, but
I mean, we're going to believe you either way. So,
so what it boils down
but we
to.
know this for a fact. It's good for wildlife management and your timber to maintain it with fire, for pine timber primarily. But oak can handle fire pretty well. So we do some burning in some hardwoods also.
So what it boils down to is that when you burn, it allows more nutrients to get into the ground, correct?
The stocking of the timber affects the sunlight getting in, but what the fire accomplishes is growing early successional vegetation. So, like, say you hadn't a stand of timber hadn't been burned in, say, 8 years or something, and you come in and introduce fire to it, that spring you get a flush of early succession vegetation growth, which is the most nutrient and desirable vegetation, nutrient-packed vegetation that your wildlife browse on.
And so, whenever you, are doing this management, do the property owners have in mind of selling these properties in like the near future? Or, are they just wanting to keep this nice for themselves? What are you seeing most of or more of?
Well, I'd say most of our clients plan on owning the property for a while, but they realize that their management practices, their good management practices, or other, y'all can edit that out. Their good management practices are going to add value to their property. So one day when they might sell, or their children may sell it, all those years of good management are going to pay off big time.
Yeah. And
when they sell.
I did see in your bio that you were involved in like $55 million worth of transactions in your brokerage career.
Yes. Yeah.
Dean knows how to pick them, I tell you.
And we're trying to grow that number. And
yeah,
this week we picked up a couple of sweet listings that we'll be getting out here quickly. One's in Warwick County, Georgia, and the other's in Lee County, Georgia. And for the deer hunters that might be listening, most people know that Lee and Warwick County in southwest Georgia is the most desirable place to be if you're into big deer hunting.
And now I know too.
Now you know.
So
road trip.
we're excited about those listings, and
do your clients
if you want to learn more? If you want to learn more about it, reach out to me. But we will. I think Ryan will probably be up on the Lee County track next week, and the following week we'll be getting the Worth County track taken care of as far as the drone videos and everything.
Yeah, I was about to add that Ryan is our guy that is helping out in the Georgia office, doing some data stuff inside of the office, and then he's doing photography, videography with the drones, helping out where that is my primary job down here, besides being a emotional support human.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I do drone photography and videography now in Central Florida and up towards Lake County, and then he's covering everything in the Panhandle as he's in
much closer.
Yeah, exactly. Tallahassee and Thomasville. So
yeah, no, I think that's really great. And I think that, I know that once those properties go live, they'll be able to click on your bio on our website, and it'll take you right to the listings. And we have this whole like support team. And I know you were saying yesterday that was like appealing to you, and, a reason why you decided to join on with Saunders Ralston Dantzler. We really do have an amazing team here, just one of the larger ones that I've seen in any brokerage. And I believe that you had been maybe on your own before this?
Yeah, since probably around 2009 or 2010, I got my broker's license, and I've been brokering real estate deals through my company, Matre Forestry. And then a few years ago, I wound up co-listing a couple of properties with Bryant, and started getting to know Bryant, and started seeing the benefit of and the power of a team that we have at SVN. And Bryant proposed, joining up, and it took a little while, but I finally jumped in, and I'm excited that I did. It has helped, I think, get a couple of listings on this real nice one, Laser Creek. I think that landowner interviewed 3 other land brokers, and I think he mentioned a few reasons why he went with me is I was the most responsive and provided the most data, and he was impressed with the SBN Saunders marketing material that I gave him in the land book, and he was just blown away by the land book.
Yeah, well, that is a coveted possession, especially at our land conference that we hold annually. But I know our marketing materials are like second to none. I haven't seen any other marketing materials that are better than ours. So, it's easy once you join in, and then, your listings start coming in. I think it's a really great thing. And I know everybody's really excited to have you on, especially because of all of your experience. But I do have this question as far as, if you are on a listing meeting and you're meeting with a landowner who's considering selling, if you see that the land has not been managed, is it easy for you to come in there and like remedy, or is this like a years long thing that would have to happen?
Well, most things take a little time, but I mean, every once in a while there's instant things that could be done. I'm working on a listing. Actually, I have the verbal agreement waiting on the written one to come back. Another one up in Talbot County, Georgia, and me and the landowner are discussing just cleaning up a little bit of an area. Like when you pull into the property, when you pull into your left, there's a beautiful lake, but in between the gate and the lake, there's an old junk pickup truck it's probably about 20 years old. It's just been sitting there forever, and I think the hunters have used it as some target practice. And, and I just kind of mentioned, you know what? Well, how about we get that truck out of there? Because you pull in and there's the lake, but you're seeing this junk car. And so he's working on getting that, or she is working on getting that car out of there.
Yeah,
but then there's a question I get a lot from landowners when they're thinking about selling is should he cut timber before he sells the land? And that's a tough one to answer. A lot of times I think it's better to sell it as is and let the next owner decide how to manage the timber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there are certain situations where maybe a pine thinning or something before the sale may be a good idea, but I kind of lean towards selling as is and let the next owner kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I could see where that would be, desirable in order to have, maybe a little more income on the property whenever you first acquire it. You've just spent however many, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and you might want a little bit of return on your investment by selling.
Now I add that that's the case for recreational land. If it's transitional property or development property, it might be a very good idea to cut the timber first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead and grab that cash.
Yeah.
Put it in your pocket, because they might come in, if it's transitional land, they may come in, just bulldoze it all down. Somebody that's smart wouldn't. They would sell the timber, but they're likely to come in, just bulldoze it and burn it on site and be able to plant houses quick.
Burning money.
So you may as well cut it yourself, pocket that money, then sell it as cleared land, and helps the transitional land buyer.
To that point, I'm familiar with the deal in Sumter County, Georgia. I'm not involved with the real estate deal, but the broker called me to help him get the timber cut. They sold it. It's basically commercial property, but a couple hundred acres. And there's basically an option or a long due diligence period, 9 months. And they didn't even think about cutting the timber during the sale of the property or putting it under contract. And they contacted the buyer after it went under contract and asked if they mind if they cut the timber. And they said, no, please do. So basically they're scrambling trying to get the timber cut because it's basically
free
money, so to speak.
That's right.
Which means,
So,
yeah,
anyway.
maybe some free money for you too if you're helping, you know?
Unfortunately, the timber isn't very great, but we might be able to accomplish it.
Okay.
Get some firewood for the winter.
Yeah, that's right. You guys get a lot colder than we do.
So did you just settle the score at the beginning of this on Albany versus Albany? I've heard a lot of locals call it Albany.
Like Benny?
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of hear it pronounced different ways. I don't even think about how I say it. Albany, that's how I say it, I guess.
We have some agents that call it Albany.
Yeah.
I'll just switch it up depending on who I'm talking to.
I live kind of in between Albany and a little town, Leesburg. I just usually say Albany because that's what most people have heard of. Sometimes for not good reasons.
Oh. I mean, that's the whole of Florida. So, like, yeah, I get it.
You can edit that out.
Well, Chad, do you have any other questions?
No, I thought that was very informative and
definitely.
Sounds like you're just learning more and more about
fire,
rec lands.
One of these days, I'm gonna get to go to a prescribed burn. I keep like thinking about it. I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to see a prescribed burn. But now that I know, you said it's only in winter and spring.
That's your gentleman to ask right there.
Usually in winter or spring.
Usually.
Okay. Yeah. Probably will put that in my calendar so that way I kind of have a reminder.
It's a little more stressful down in Florida. The wildfire risk anyway, or the fire getting out of control. You probably don't want to hear that.
No. As long as we've got like a buggy, right?
But a fire can jump out here in Georgia out of the fire break and we are fine usually. But sometimes in Florida, I mean, that can be a nightmare.
Yeah, we had a jump at the last one that I went to. I was luckily flying the drone, videoing it. And I'm like, that smoke's coming from a weird area. I hadn't seen that before. And I flew over to it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's on the other side of the road. Let's go ahead and get on this. So we luckily caught it very quick. But we were sitting down having a sandwich and a glass of water. And
you sound ridiculous right now.
And I just happened to be flying, and I'm like, hey, guys, let's go take a look at this.
Were you laying under the apple trees?
Under the canopy.
Oh, my God. Under the canopy closures where you were having your sandwich and glass of water. I cannot. Well, Mike, is there anything that you would like to add? Anything we didn't cover or, anything people should know about you?
I don't know, other than we're up here ready to help for anyone needing to sell land or buy land or manage land.
Can we find you on TikTok? Facebook, Twitter,
Facebook, and Instagram and LinkedIn. I haven't ventured into Twitter territory. Well, I do have a Twitter account, but I'm not active on it.
I just made my first tweet in like 5 years on the 4th of July because this like golf cart didn't come and pick me up, and so I was complaining about it. So yeah, I don't really use Twitter either unless it's to like call out corporations, which is my favorite thing to do, other than maybe see a prescribed burn. But how can people reach you?
Well, my cell number is 229-869-1111.
Yeah, you got really lucky with that 1111 at the end.
Yeah. I've had that number since 1999.
Ooh, okay.
Very nice.
And my email address is mike.matre@svn.com.
Easy enough.
Beautiful.
Easy enough.
I better spell Matre. It's not Tomater, it's Matre.
There you go.
M-A-T-R-E.
That's right. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. This was really exciting because this was our first virtual podcast, and I hardly ever get to have Chad in the co-chair here. Usually he's behind everything, and we don't get to see him that much, so thanks for showing face.
Yeah, and thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. I look forward to getting down to Lakeland soon.
Please soon,
Yeah,
yes.
come see us.
Okay. Bye-bye.